Welcome, welcome, wonderful person, to a space where you get to prepare for power, prepare for ability to create everything you long for plus. This new moon ignition, as you probably know if you've been visiting me every month for the last year or so, this new moon ignition is a time for you, a sacred space just for you. And I'm going to read something that came through me for you in the beginning of this new moon ignition and at the end. This is a personal message for you. And if you can, suspend disbelief in this moment and imagine that the higher ones, however you know the greater, something more than yourself, is speaking directly to you through the vehicle of this voice. And it is for you personally. Using your imagination, which is the same creative power that made the heavens and the earth, and it is the vehicle by which we communicate with infinite power, infinite knowledge, and infinite bliss. And now here you are, face to face, at the seat to seat, if you so choose, with this infinite intelligence who has something to say directly to you. Take some deep breaths and allow this in. There is no darkness that cannot be lightened. There is no limiting thought that cannot be dissolved. There is no separation that cannot be repaired. There is no disease that cannot be alleviated. There is no loneliness that cannot be transformed into the bliss of oneness. And there is no lack that cannot now be overflowing with supply. You are personally known. You are personally supported. You are personally guided. You are personally loved and adored. And you are personally and eternally free to create anything you truly desire. And see if you can just be in this moment with gratitude for this personal message for you. And from this place of receiving something from the Oracle at Delphi, or however it might be, however it is you know a sacred messenger for you, we are going to begin the new moon in Virgo ignition. Virgo has always been something that has come to me. The energy of Virgo has come to me naturally. The energy of Virgo is the energy of the feminine aspect of organization and planning, of creating a space. Before I had my children, especially before my third child, three of my four babies were induced due to high blood pressure and complications with the pregnancy. But one of my children was not induced and came early at 36 and a half weeks. And the day before that event, I was not prepared for that in that sense, but I was listening to intuitive guidance, and I did what's called nesting that new moms do. And nesting is like getting everything ready and in order. And I was compelled to go to what was a really big new deal 26 years ago or 25 years ago, however long ago it was, to a Walmart, which was new and very exciting, to buy all sorts of containers and organize all the toys for the previous two children by type and category. And it was like an obsessive compulsive thing. I could not do it, and got labels. I mean, so the Disney figures were organized by Pocahontas, by, what's the guy, the Greek hero, Hercules, by the Winnie the Pooh characters, by the seven dwarfs, which were a big thing with my kids, having all seven of the dwarfs. And if one of the dwarfs was missing, the mother would go a little nutso because the kid would look for it. Big boxes of organized by balls, by trains, by stuffed animals, by classic, whatever it was, certain games. and getting all the wash done. And I remember my ex-husband saying to me around 10:30 at night, now I am 36 and a half weeks pregnant with my third child. It's kind of a thing. And saying, can't this wait till morning? And I was like in some sort of craze, like, no, it can't wait. It can literally not wait till morning. And, taking me with a grain of salt, as he was wont to do. And now maybe whole salt licks, all salt fields is how he may take me or leave me. God blesses everyone that goes through the process of divorce, dividing the force. Dun, 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 dun. I continued, and I fell asleep maybe around 11:30 when I felt like it was complete. And around 12:30, I woke up with the feeling, I thought someone had thrown a bucket of hot water on my crotch. I mean, that seemed rational at 12:30 in the morning. This was May 4th, 1997, by the way. And I was, who would do that? I was even like, who would do that to mommy? Why would anyone do that why would anyone throw hot water? And then I realized it coming out of that sleep stupor, because I was really sound freaking asleep at that moment after all the day before. I realized that my water had broken. There was the gush of the amniotic fluid, and it was time for the baby to be coming. And my ex-husband had fallen asleep with one of the other two children because they were like fussing. So I was in my room by myself, and I was living in a twin at that time. And one of my dear friends was the neighbor next door, and she was on call for the kids when it happened. And I was like, oh my God, Jen, my water broke. And she's like, I got to go to the hospital. And she's like, okay, where's Michael? And I said, I don't know. And she goes, well, you might want to find him. I'm like, that's a good idea. I mean, it was not a clear thought process then. And I got a big purple bath towel, put it between my legs, and she came over and we went to the hospital. And really sweet thing had happened on the way to the hospital in the middle of the night after, calling the doctors and all of that, is that one of the senior partners in my law office, senior litigation partner, as a matter of fact, the head of the litigation department, I was a litigation attorney, and had skedaddled to the other side, was at a wedding the night before that, and was on a treadmill the next morning at the hotel, had a massive heart attack and exited stage left. And I was thinking about the juxtaposition of the coming and going of souls. And I remember thinking to him, I was I had a little bit of a little bit of that kind of relationship with this man. I mean, a lot of senior partners I did, a lot of lawyers as well. And I was just like, you son of a bitch. I mean, what really? You just left and this baby's coming in, and what's the purpose of it? You're never going to meet him, because we knew that the baby, I mean, with gender assignments that were, wrote back at that point, you're never going to meet him. And I really remember thinking about what it really means to come and go, and how the energy feels so similar. And with that baby, I remember it was at a hospital that overlooked this great seminary. Seminary, is that the word, where the priests go to get trained? Seminary sounds a little like insemination to me right now. I don't know. It's not a cemetery. I think it is seminary. But as dawn was breaking, as the sun was rising, the light was coming over the big dome. And I remember when the light refracts through clouds, when the sun comes through like that, my whole entire life, I'd always say, oh, there's God. God's coming down on us. And if you know me now, you know a litany, because that word can be supercharged. I mean, it is a supercharged word, but it can be supercharged negatively. God, Great Spirit, Jesus, Buddha, Baba, Ram, Zoroaster, Allah, Source, love, science, nature, Goddess, divine, infinite, universe, higher power, higher self, but just raining down. And I was having I had learned about trying to call contractions life surges. I was having life surges. And it was an extraordinary experience. Actually, as usual, I did not intend to tell that story. But that nesting experience, that getting all the ducks in the row, literally the Daffy Ducks and the Donald Ducks and the ducks of the Sesame Street farm, all of the ducks in a row for something new coming in and for a time of great change. Virgo is a mutable sign, and it's an earth sign. And it's a feminine sign. It's a sign of the goddess. Regardless of what you identify with. We all have this active and receptive energy that we know is classically as masculine and feminine, and she cowers before no one. And she knows how to make something. It's a very organized process. This business of the cells differentiating, becoming, the zygote and the embryo. And I just saw a really incredible YouTube from Spirit Science that shows the representation of the cells in utero expanding and replicating, and putting the sacred geometry symbols on top of it. I mean, it was really extraordinary as I grow in my life to be able to have the great gift to realize. I always say we discover nothing. We just realize what always has been, this linking of the micro and the macro, and how there is this divine infinite genius in everything. And what might seem like chaos is really order that our brains aren't capable of understanding yet. But if you've ever heard of that business of we only use like 10 or 11% of our brain capacity, there's so much research in the higher spiritual practices. It's not like foo-foo, but just the ones that bring it up to the higher energy centers, that we are then merging in and expanding our brain's capacity to understand, to prosper, to flourish, to grow. Plus, if you know me, it's prosper plus, to flourish plus. And the plus is always the pure joy of sharing with those that you love and with your environment. Your cup overfloweth. So your dreams, your deepest, purest desires are met plus, and the plus is always uplifting everyone, because we really are all connected. So this new moon in Virgo brings us the ability to plan, to organize, and specifically, Virgo is a lot about the body, this temple of our soul, and how to get the temple of our soul in ready, prepared for what's coming next, what's next on tap for us. And what's next on tap for us, I say that if you don't call yourself a rising visionary, and Virgo is a lot about vision and practically enacting that vision. If you don't call yourself a rising visionary, you don't know what you truly are. We're all rising visionaries. Every one of these aspects of a human personality, like a visionary, or of the zodiac, Sagittarian is what I am, and also has a lot of visionary. More of the global level, and my Virgo needs to help enact it. But that's what we come. We come to awaken to a greater vision and take this energy, the same energy that made the heavens and the earth, and create in this realm. And we always create, but when we create from a more limited consciousness, the limited thoughts that can be dissolved and now expanded as that direct message for you came, we can then create and imagine in alignment with what's needed. There is no darkness that cannot be lightened. Actually, I'm going to read this 3 times because I think this is so powerful. There is no darkness that cannot be lightened. There is no limiting thought that cannot be dissolved, whether it's in your own monkey mind or the collective monkey mind. There is no separation that cannot be repaired. There is no disease and dis-ease that cannot be alleviated. There is no loneliness that cannot be transformed into the bliss of oneness. And there is no lack that cannot overflow to all you need plus. All we all need plus. So this new moon in Virgo came in at 4:16 a.m. today, Eastern time. That's where I am right now on the East Coast. And Virgo is a consciousness raiser, consciousness of our power to create. And I woke up like light at 4:16 a.m. And I always research this business of the experts, whether it's a New York Post or actually a really well-established astrology site, about the specific meaning of the new moon. But I didn't know exactly what this was meant for today. And it was about the temples, preparing the temples for what needs to come, especially in the next 6 months. What's set in motion now with a new moon in Virgo will really come to fruition. I think 6 months, let's count together. September, October, November, December, January, February, March. Now, I knew that it said that it would come to fruition in March, but I didn't really see that math because I see it's so amazing to think about this, how we all process things. I see the calendar in a circle, and December and January 1st starts in my mind's eye. Whatever December 25th is to January 1st, December 25th, because of course I was raised Catholic Christian, is the pinnacle of the year, and then the rest of the year starts. Some people see it on a linear thing from January to December, and some people have it different ways on a clock. And so I count by that way, and I get a little off sometimes. So, anywho, between now and March 2023, what you set in place with this new moon in Virgo is going to have so much ability to raise your consciousness, your awareness, which means your ability to be conscious of the fact that you are an infinite being with infinite power, that you've always created your world, and now you can awake now to that creative potential for yourself and for everyone and everything. Because another hallmark of Virgo is service minded. I mean, Virgo wants to act for the greater good, no matter how small or how large you might perceive it. This right now, and boy, don't we need ourselves and everyone being acting and creating for the greater good, knowing that we're part of it. Like I talk about the Galactic Council of Women, all genders welcome. The reason why council is the word, not that we sit around in a council yet, it's an energetic council. I mean, we might do that someday, but council to me always connotes like a benevolent, overseeing group that acts in the best interest of those that they're part of, knowing that they're an integral member of the greater as well. So it is that oneness. And so Virgo also brings us the ability to be able to cultivate and know our unique purpose and gifts in this body, in this earthly form, this flower. I like to say that your soul goes on, and you get many different personalities. If you know me well, you always say, when you incarnate, I think it's a big Jeopardy game. It's like, I'll take identifying as woman, dark hair, American in the Northeast with a, whatever it might be, for, in the Jeopardy game of life, to be able to help me remember that I've come here. I now know for the first time really in my incarnation, I am certain AF, that's a new mantra for me. I think they bleep it out, but I'm as certain as fudge, or I'm certain as fork, that I've come here to be a exemplary model, to be a beacon, to radiate the truth of infinite supply, that there's not just more than enough. Enough doesn't even come into play anymore. You don't even talk about enough. There just is. Our universe is one of infinite supply, and we can receive the fruits on demand. But it's demand. I like when you take that word like of the hand. I see like Mani, MAN as hand, and DE being of, like of the yes, of the creation, of the taking it to us, and of the sharing, of the giving and receiving. This sign in Mayor Baba, if you know me, was an Indian spiritual avatar of the age who dropped his body in 1969. This was the sign for I love you, heart to heart. It was also the sign for I forgive you, exactly the same thing. We forget and we remember that we're infinite and we're one. And when we hurt one another, we hurt ourselves. So that unique purpose that we have in this flower, like we want to take care of this flower. I only get Cindy James once. I mean, whether you believe, it doesn't matter whether you believe in reincarnation or not, whatever floats your boat, whatever gets you from forgetting that you're infinite to remembering is just perfect. Like I said, whatever gets you from A to orgasm, mazel tov. I mean, with consenting adults, not with, non-consenting adults. And that kind of consent, what I'm coming to know now is that consent is not just in the classic examples of rape and sexual assault, but it also comes with presenting yourself honestly when you enter in relationship with someone. There's an energetic rape and violation when you manipulate someone else to get what you want and then lie about that. It's so important for us in this day and age to know that when we're engaging in sacred sexuality, which is so much of the body, we experience pleasure in the body. I don't know this for certain, but I'm pretty sure there's not chocolate in the spirit realm. And although I've read in some spiritual teachings that there's sexuality in some spirit realms, this whole business of merging in the fluids and the vibrations of the denser form of the body, pretty sure it's an earth thing. Pretty sure it's like a solar system galaxy kind of experience. And when we engage in that act, and particularly in the act that can bring and call a new life to being, it behooves us out of self-love and respect to do it with great integrity, integral oneness, awareness of the oneness by which that gift of pleasure and the birthright of pleasure comes. So this is all Virgo, the theme being really being able to review and restore and make a plan with discipline. I love the word discipline. I believe this is how I like to get the root discipline, from discipleship, which means such devotion. It's not a harsh, burdened taskmaster. It's like when you're devoted to something or someone, to being a disciple, there is no effort in the service. There's no depletion, I shall say. There's natural effort and grace. I know that in my life, when I prepare for any of these live streams or anything that's happening with the Prosper Plus app, with the new programs that are, I think we use the term download, I got that download, but I like to call it an uplight. It's maybe calling down and loading into me, but it's also coming up as a light. So maybe that's the masculine and feminine, or the active and receptive, but this download uplight about the fierce feminine power of prosperity. And there's a new forum that's coming. There's a new Facebook group that is for people who identify as women, and it's a coming attraction. But I'm even using the energy of the new moon in Virgo to lay the practicalities of it, to share with you this great new, way more than a zygote, way into an embryo or into a fetus at this point, but a new Facebook group for those that identify as women called Prosper Plus, and it is for women attracting gobs of money and uplifting the world. I mean, sweet Lord. Women attracting gobs of money, uplifting the world. It's freaking fun, first of all. It's just gobs of money. Gobs of money. And as you know me, money is not a real thing. Like when I say my life purpose, what I know, it's come here to elevate that money is just what people agree has power or ability when you take it down from the Latin. And we can agree that there's more. And uplifting humanity. The situation in Philadelphia, where I live close to right now, is extraordinary. Something I've never witnessed and never heard of and never felt in this way in my tender 57 3/4 years. Also, inhabit your child self, add the quarters and the halves, or the 11 twelfths. I mean, it's so fun to be able to measure our age with joy, our years, as it's in Spanish. ¿Cuántos años tienes? How many years do you have is so much better as how old are you? It's like, oh my God. So in my tender years, but the state of the economy, the state of the strife, the state of the astrology. This is really a time that has never happened since the American Revolution, that kind of time. We're in revolution energy. And the amount of people that are skeletal and homeless and on, very sick with drug addiction on the streets, the amount of strife that you see, the amount of violence and seemingly random act of violence, people just being beaten up in broad daylight in areas that were supposedly, the better areas, which is such a bullshit, I guess, way to say it. There was a guy, Colonel Potter on MASH, I think he said horse hockey or something like that. There was a term he used for the bull crap, and I really love it. I wish I could remember, but I think it is horse hockey or whenever he would get upset. But that, that kind of violence, I've heard also that this multiple hearsay, by the way, I could not admit this in a court of law. I love the rules of evidence, by the way. I love the rules of hearsay because, she could get something on authority, but this is multiple hearsay. So you might want to look it up. But I've heard that the electric company has raised the rates by 8% in the recent past. And I've heard that the water company realized that they made, this is in Philadelphia, that had made a mistake in the calculations of billing people and is back charging people like thousands of dollars for their water from the past. And I've heard recently that the mayor of Philadelphia has said, can't wait to be done this term, and getting a lot of flack for it. But Jesus, I think that's so honest. And I get it. I mean, I just get it. And so as we move into this, what happened at 4:16 Eastern or 4:17, I think I said 4:16 Eastern, was that I was given this, like, Cindy, wake up and radiate out to everyone that we need to take care of this temple of our body, and this temple of our temple of our soul is our body. The temple of our body is where we live. The temple of our movement is our vehicles. The temple of our resources are our bank accounts or whatever it is we have that has that. And the temple of our homes, our communities, and the temple of life itself being Mother Earth. And it's really important to get those ducks in a Dewey Decimal roll. I was actually so delighted when I started researching this week about what the energy of the new moon in Virgo is about planning, because even as of yesterday, I met with Helen. If you're part of the Galactic Council of Women All Genders Welcome, or the Prosper Plus Premium, or you've been with me when I started Cindy Unleashed 4 years ago, she has been the creative midwife, the galactic midwife and creative conduit, and now connector. She came to be with me because I like to say she's like closed caption for the technologically impaired. So I needed to upgrade my phone. It's been many years old, and it needs to be able to sustain the high vibrational energy that I am transmitting, that I'm radiating. And it also needed to be a new one. The last few years, that piece of device has navigated me through extreme situations with my offspring, with the skedaddling to the other side of my brother, with separation and divorce, with moving, with global pandemics, for personal strife, for the classic tales of betrayal, of if you remember ABC Wild World of Sports, if you're of my age, for the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat until you want to get out of the game altogether. And so look how pretty it is. I mean, it's just like got sparkles on the case. It's supposedly blue, but in the light of my Glidden King's Row blue in the back, it doesn't really show up. Helen came to help me do everything, to help me with my laptop, to clean up my storage, to get things set with my Infinity account. And also, I tell you, this business of taking someone's name in a relationship, there's still things where I've changed my name on accounts and the primary account holder is still my ex-husband's name, or I still need to use an old email to activate accounts. I'm having to delete every app on my phone to redo it in my own name. And I see the heavy cost for, I didn't want to take my ex-husband's name. I was a practicing lawyer, but I did because I thought I should for my kids. And there's no right or wrong. I believe that the only marriage vow I was going to take if I got married, which I didn't, and now but I would make that to you right now. That is, I vow to be true to myself so that I can be true to you. And I wasn't true to myself with that, and now changing everything else. But I got to then. I probably wouldn't have if I hadn't taken his name, made up a whole new name for myself, James. I like it. The name's James, Cynthia James. And I'm the Empress of Infinite Supply and Radiant Love of the Galactic Council of Women All Genders Welcome. And you can be anything you want to. And that's what the new moon in Virgo brings us. So let me just see if there's anything else of my notes. I had to get a new charger or a new ink cartridge to look how nicely I've printed these things out. Mercury's going in retrograde in September of 2022. And that's like, thinking like tigers and lions and bears, oh my. Speaking of, I literally saw tigers and lions and bears, oh my, a couple days ago. This week has been a delightful week, and I'm going to share about it in this very moment. But I saw leopards and cheetahs. I went to an outdoor zoo in southern New Jersey, and I thought I was going to a hellish heat animal prison because I have experienced zoos like that in the past, especially in the summer. And it turns out I went to a very high vibrational place. And the only reason I only really agreed to go to the zoo is I wanted to be in service to all of the animals. And, just like, I love you so much, thank you so much, which I did in any event. But I find that the energy of those animals, whether it was a frog or a bison, was in service to me. And it's so beautiful. So during this new moon time, Mercury goes in retrograde, and said the classic thing is the communications go haywire, but that's kind of the shadow side of Mercury. What it also gives us a time is to reflect and also do more of this Dewey Decimal System, getting all your ducks in a row, since the Galactic Council of Women and the new programs that are being launched from Prosper Plus, like the Fierce Feminine Prosperity Program. And so women can attract gobs of money and uplift the world. I mean, with that fierce ferocity of a mother bear, of a lioness, which I saw too, and she was taking a great nap, which was wonderful, that we can prepare the way. I forgot what I was just saying, the beginning of that sentence. Isn't that delightful? So Mercury is a time to just review and get your ducks in a row so your new vision can come in up into March and more. It's also a time that there can be some volatile emotions and your mind can kind of go haywire. So it's a time to be a discipline and direct your thoughts into those that really sustain your body, sustain your home, sustain your vehicles, sustain your bank accounts, sustain your community, sustain your earth. And calling on Archangel Michael, the preserver and the sustainer, and Archangel Raphael of the creation and healing energy for us specifically right now. Okay, it's time for the new moon ignition. It fell on the floor, so pardon me while I go down to get that. I was just delighted to realize that the 5-step new moon prepare for power ignition that was birthed is very Virgo-like. It's like a systematic 5-step. You can do it over and over again. It has power every time you do it. And remember, everyone, we're in the eternal now together. Anytime we're together here in this way, our souls have already prepared the path out of being attached to the fleeting now, or the seeming past or the seeming future. And we are together in a space, in the time and space that our minds can't really, even calling it time and space is inaccurate, but before time and before space, the latent potential energy that we can just ladle into, like the Big Dipper, into ourselves. As a matter of fact, we'll do that right now. There is an ancient healing practice that I learned originated on the steppes, the plains of Mongolia. And it's something you can do when the sky is very dark. Like in the new moon, there's no perceptible reflection of the light of the sun on the moon to us. So the stars are just radiant. And last night I was outside with my sister on a deck on an island by the sea, looking at the Big Dipper and seeing it so clearly. So before we start this new moon ignition, let's get ourselves really prepared to this body and this energetic structure and the homes that you live in. What I'm going to guide you to is let this energy pour into all the temples that we are talked about, including Mother Earth itself. And so if you'd like to begin 360-degree breathing. So the breath will come in through your nose, mouth closed with the tongue behind your teeth on your palate. Your jaw is straight, so the cerebral spinal fluid and the energy of the Sushumna channel goes up and down. Your feet are flat on the ground or cross-legged. Your root is open, which means you're not squeezing your buttocks and your butt cheeks. You can pull them out. We're always doing that in yoga. Your shoulders are relaxed. Your jaw is relaxed. And you're connecting in with the purified life force that comes in, not just through your nose, the prana, the life force energy that rides on oxygen molecules, but also comes in 360-degree breathing. So when you breathe in through your nose, you're also breathing in through your cheek and your clavicle and your belly and your kneecaps and your hair and every bit of your body. Your body is a huge billow. Breathing is one of the 5 nurturing elements, the type of food that we can ingest that will be so accepting and expanding in this Virgo energy. Breathing. The other types of food that you can just let come into you in awareness to be activated during this time our actual physical food, water, rest, movement, and now we're in breath. Breath is the portal between the consciousness that you have and your sub or supra consciousness. Both of those, all three of those types of consciousness. And now imagine, if you're receiving this in daytime, that it's on a moonless night. It's the new moon, perhaps right before 4:16 a.m., before there's any dawn's first light. And you're on an island that has no ambient lighting, no electric lights or electricity, no even air conditioners humming. It's just a pure island. Perhaps it's way out in the Polynesian Sea or in the Caribbean. And the air is just billowing, soft, perfect temperature for you, perfect humidity, no insects that will bother you. And you're standing for this exercise and you see, for this experience, you see in your mind's eye, letting your gaze go to your ajna with your eyes closed, that is that internal eye, even expanding that awareness so you can see through that eye the panoply of stars, and the Big Dipper is just more luminous and radiant and inviting and personally appearing for you than you've ever experienced before. And what's happening now, the Big Dipper is moving and you're seeing it and you're in wonder and awe. And it is now reaching into a cosmic pail of pure golden, life-giving nectar, and reaching in and now coming directly over you, and your crown is now opening, your crown chakra like a 1,000-petaled lotus flower, and your Shri chakra, your Ain Sof, your Ein Sof in the Kabbalist language of the different levels of the energy centers above our head that connect us to our oversoul, the infinite part of ourselves, is just pouring that through us and then into our crown, and then just coming through, rolling through like nectar, golden amber, luminescent nectar. And every bit of our body is just soaking it up and revitalizing in it. Every darkness is being lightened. Every limiting thought is being dissolved. Any feeling of separation is being repaired. Any disease is being alleviated and healed. Any loneliness is being infused with the bliss of oneness. And any lack is being filled to the point of overflowing. All the way down through your feet and into Mother Earth. And now this Big Dipper is reaching in and even more, pouring directly into your home or homes, wherever your body resides, to your offices, the temple of your income, if you have one, into the temple of your vehicle or vehicles, from bikes to scooters, to cars, to planes, to the temples of your resources, to your banks, to your checks, to your credit cards, to the coins, to the computer screens, anything that houses that reflection of your resources, of your supply, of the power agreement or squiggles that people call money, into your communities, your neighborhoods, your cities, your states, your countries, your continents, your planet. Oh, and now let that just pour, that golden energy pouring now. And it might be so much that not only is it coming through your feet, you might want to raise your hands at heart level and seeing the earth in front of you as a ball and the atmosphere of the earth is included in it. And let this golden energy straight from the cosmos, from the birth, the purified, the personality-less, love without conditions, energy just pour through all of our planet, our atmosphere, our gravitational pull, and through everyone and everything. And now keeping that energy going, knowing that you are infinitely supported, and you in the energy of Virgo are so motivated to serve everyone and everything, because you know that your unique purpose on this planet is to do so. So step one, let go of anything from your past, seeming past, good, bad, ugly, wonderful, terrible. Shake it like an Etch-a-Sketch out of your body and let this nectar purify you, because faith is being loyalty to the unseen future of a soul connected to their source. There is no time for unhealthy attachments to what was, because what's coming is the golden age. And you are immersed in this golden age, and this golden nectar is erasing anything that causes bindings, whether they're iron chains or gold chains, so that you can be free in the spirit of a newborn baby, like Frosty the Snowman from that old cartoon. Every time the heat would take Frosty down into a puddle, and then the cold would bring Frosty up. Happy birthday in new moon in Virgo. And if you feel so called, one of my dear colleagues in the light, a soul brother, a healer, a friend, a radiator, a wise, creative one, it's his birthday today, actual birthing day, 69th birthing day, knowing that he loved the year 1969. I asked him if I could say this in this broadcast. It was the year that he discovered how to kiss girls, and was so relieved to feel or realize that it wasn't that hard. Maybe he needs to release his attachment to that and go on to even better kissing. Maybe it wasn't that hard, but there's even more pleasure to be had with his, oh my God, beautiful healer, light worker, rising visionary, earth mother of a woman, and friend and soul sister of mine. So letting go so that we can move into step two. And boy, step two is our soul right. And it is imagining this new intention, this new truth that we're going to be creating and living. And we're doing it with the magic abracadabra, I am. That be still as you are right now in this internal vibrating aliveness, and know that I am one with my Creator. I am a spark of all that is. I am a child of the oneness with the energy of Christ consciousness, however you know that within you, right now, merged with you in this space. And imagine, I take those letters apart, I am a never-ending, God-inspired, whatever it is, I am a never-ending, God-inspired what? And feel that now, the great alchemy of imagination and this moment in time, whether it's in the fleeting now or you're with me in the eternal now, which is in the fleeting now too. And thank you so much for your part in service. We are radiating this to the entire cosmos, past, present, and future. Imagining if your body was as healthy and flexible and strong and energized and young and lively and able to move and rest fully, how would it feel to be you right now? if your home or wherever it is you live were exactly the way you would love for it to be. And even if it already is, imagine that it is a way station, a transmitting station, a center of the divine personified, radiating the eternal message of love divine to the whole, to everyone that comes in and out, and all of your community and all that is. How would you feel? Give it to yourself in this moment. And keeping all of these going, the golden nectar is still pouring. This is why we call this prepare for power, because it takes something for you not to blow gaskets with having this much energy coming through you. But when you let it overflow in service, then you don't explode or implode. And then letting this energy, imagine if you had all the resources, friends, family, inspiration, colleagues, co-workers, including those resources, those squiggles on paper or on a screen or on coin that we call money. If you had all of that plus, how would it feel to be you right now? The thrill and the sweetness of the relief of not having to struggle anymore. And imagine looking at those that you love, including everyone and everything, and seeing everyone, feeling everyone living from that place of the enthusiastic, joyful, awe-inspiring delight of letting our universe, the one of infinite supply, be what it was created to be. A reflection, a mirror, a source for us to direct and play with in alignment with our soul. What would it be if everyone you loved was just out of that unnecessary suffering and struggle? Body, mind, spirit, environment, financial, familial, romantic, intellectual, and all of the ways. And then letting this nectar, again, just imagine what it would feel like to be you, experiencing yourself and your unique purpose, your unique superpowers, knowing yourself, even in this moment, giving yourself a superhero title. And feeling the joy of imagining and playing that. And from this sensory place, where our body aligns with our soul and our mind, go to step 3, which is to bring it into the concrete by writing it down. That takes it from the mental plane and brings it into this earth plane. And in many lineages, to use the colors red and gold or yellow and red, bring that. And using the I am whenever possible. And everything that you have for offer it for all of those similarly in the energy of calling this to themselves. And not to distract you, I'm just going to write with red and gold light. I am creative, compassionate, and happy. I am living in a beautiful, young, flexible, radiant form that is a literal vehicle, releasing divine love, light, and life. I am basking in pure faith and creating from my infinite, powerful source. And then moving into step 4, allow the greater and the highest light forces of the heavens and the earth to rush in, to fulfill, and to line up and to inspire you and everyone and everything to conspire, to collude, to collaborate, to cooperate, to be with you, to allow this to manifest now without harm to yourself or others, with great gratitude and appreciation. Breathing into allowing that support, and then coming into step 5, knowing that joy brings joy, play brings play, abundance brings abundant, fun brings fun, love brings love, forgiveness brings forgiveness, laughter brings laughter. Know that the 5th step is to have fun, being you, this rare flower, this precious spark of all that is, having a temporary gift of a human experience, a present, to be present to it. As the next few weeks or whenever you're receiving this in time and space, and even if you've missed this in the whole 2-week from new moon to full moon fullness part, travel back in the eternal now in time and just make it so. We really are time travelers that can heal the seeming past. I have been doing that, and it is an extraordinary process, an empowering process, an enlightening process. And then bringing this new moon ignition to completion in this relationship of you and I in this moment, but not our souls are so connected. Isn't that amazing? I used to imagine, like, how could, I remember this growing up and going to Catholic school, how could God love all of us? And then when I start to feel the love of God, I start to get a little territorial about it. Like, okay, but God loves me. And I mistaken it. Not a good word. Well, it's a great word. I just don't think it's a real word. Well, a classic word, dictionary word. But when I realized that's exclusive love, not infinite love, I have had experiences of the energy of the divine simultaneously loving everyone and everything. And since I am divine too, that's how I can love you personally. And you can love me without attachments in this moment. And it is the energy that is building a worldwide matrix of everyone across this world, and some of us with great consciousness and intention and joy of purpose. I always invite you to join me in the Prosper Plus app, free or the premium, which is this worldwide matrix of rising visionaries, deeply caring people, and light workers, and all the other forums that are being inspired by the calling that we are emanating, the answers to our prayers. Virgo gives us the practical courage to take the steps to answer our prayers. And so I will read the closing highlight oracle at Delphi. I love all of those legends and mysteries that are actually spot on universal truths. Dear wonderful person, there is no darkness that cannot be lightened. Cindy, do you hear that? There is no limiting thought that cannot be dissolved. Cindy's mental matrix, do you hear that? I'm talking to myself too. I always say, if you remember that old commercial, I'm not just the hair club president, I'm a member too. There is no separation that cannot be repaired, brought back together, the reing, the pairing. There is no dis-ease that cannot be alleviated. There is no loneliness that cannot be transformed into the bliss of oneness which I'm feeling right now. I hope it's contagious and you can feel it. And there is emphatically no lack that cannot be right now in this very moment come from the depth of the eternal now, the infinite supply of the universe, fill you up so much that your cup overfloweth, so that you have everything you need, plus, so that you can prosper, plus, and serve humanity. And you are personally known, you are personally supported, you are personally guided, you are personally loved and adored, you are adored, you're adorable, and you are personally and eternally free to create the life of your dreams. Dear wonderful person, thank you for spending this kind of human fleeting time with me and basking in something that is very worthwhile and mattering. And as this new moon in Virgo comes to full moon in the next 2 weeks and also into fruition until March of 2023, let you and I be connected in the love, power, and blessings of our true selves. Mwah.